Hello traders, it's Samurai Trader here. Welcome to my trade recap. I'm going to be recapping some trades that I took last night on the FESX 89 tick and the NQ. This is mainly for my European cousins, where I've been getting quite a number of new clients, new students join me, and so I just want to show you some trades that I took. As most of you are aware, I love trading the US session. That's my main market, but let's have a look at last night's action. Now before we move on, of course, as usual, I just need to explain the risk. Well, I'll perhaps let you, rather than explain it to you, I'll let you read that so you fully understand the risk of trading, of course. Now when you look at my trades, I had an email last night, and this also has prompted a couple of things I'm going to show you really, from one of my students overseas, and he said, Ray, you really push the trend trading trades, yet I note that every trading session you take a very high percentage of counter trend trades. Well, that is true. Our T89s, for an example, and the T10s, which is a trend that changing setup, both of those are extremely high probability. Now also, I suppose a lot of the recordings that I do in sort of downtime, and when I'm focused on trading, I like to remain focused. You've probably seen some of my recordings where I've been talking and trading at the same time, and sometimes it doesn't end as well as what I'd like it to. That is, I might get in a little later or get out a bit later, or too early, etc. I like to be focused, and my target is to spend at least 2 hours minimum 100% focused on trading, because hey, do you know why I trade? I'm in it for the money. I don't know about you. Hopefully you're in it for the money, and maybe have a bit of fun on the way, but seriously, this business is a serious business when you've got your money on the line. Now I'm a sniper trader. That is, you may remember the great movie American Sniper. Know when to take your shot, one kill, and that is my style. I'll sit back and I'll just wait. Now what I do say to my new students with the setups: trend trade only. And the reason being, you've got to distinguish when you're taking counter trend trades. You need to distinguish the difference between a strong trend and a change in trend, or the market turn. It is very easy to get caught in a strong trend, and subconsciously we believe it just can't keep going. I mean, all the indicators are telling me that the market's oversold or overbought. It's got to turn surely. Well, that is why I recommend trend trading. It's a lot safer. And the other thing I recommend, of course, is having a profit target each day, a realistic one, and you build on it. You see, trading traders is about discipline. It really is, and discipline is a muscle. The more often you use it, that is, the more often you exercise your discipline, the stronger you get. And that is why I recommend to all of my students, and all traders also, if you're not actually a student of mine, that you execute a minimum of 100 trades of one setup, and flawlessly. Now they don't have to all be winning trades, but where you haven't broken the rules. Because consider this: if you go to learn how to fly an aircraft and you go into a simulator, do they let you crash and burn that aircraft? Of course not. They'll say, look, he's a lousy pilot. Yet when we start trading, quite often we'll use a simulator and we'll be slack, and we'll say, well, it's only pretend money anyway. But what that does, trade, is it hardwires bad habits and automatic reflexes. And for some of the traders that have failed a number of times, you know what I'm talking about. So I'm sitting back waiting for my patterns, my trend following, my trend continuation, my counter trend, my reversal patterns. But I'm very comfortable with when I know what trades to take. Now also, I might go out of a room or go downstairs. If it's an evening, I'm trading from home. If I'm in the office, I might be in and out with the other traders. So it varies. But what I want to show you is some of those trades, but a couple of other things I want to cover too. And please don't skip this. This is really important stuff, traders, because look, I remember hearing something that Bill Gates once said. Bill Gates said that the biggest threat to mankind is the mosquito. Now hang on, don't click away from, no, seriously, Bill Gates said the biggest challenge to mankind is a mosquito. Here you've got this tiny insect, and it's one of what he believes to be one of the greatest threats to mankind because of a disease it spreads. It's a tiny thing. Now, coming back to trading, it's the tiny things in trading that make or break us as traders. Let me say that again. It's the tiny things, it's the habits, it's the things that we do on a daily basis or fail to do on a daily basis that make or break us as traders. You see, traders, we trade our belief systems. If you feel pretty lousy about life, there's a good chance, a very high chance, and please, I don't want to offend anybody, but there's a good chance, almost certainly, you will fail as a trader. We trade our beliefs. If you're down on the market's against you, guess what? It's going to be against you. The market is a friendly place. It only really does three things: up, down, or sideways. But it really comes down to developing the right habits. Now I'm perhaps going on a little too much here, but because I don't want to turn this into a psychology session, but we are our worst enemy when it comes to trading. Now that is why it's critical that you consider, when you start to learn, or you're relearning or retraining, is that you consider and look at it as a 90-day internship or apprenticeship. You have to get rid of your habits, and you have to raise your personal standards. Let me say that again. You've got to raise your personal standards on what you're willing to accept from yourself or not accept, and don't trade real money until you do. I want to change the day traders world forever. I want to give the best training a trader can obtain. That is why I'm very candid with you. So traders, write down what your issues are. Keep your daily log, your journal. If you make a mistake, slap yourself, but get back up again, and get it right. Now a couple of other things before we go to the chart. I had a couple of emails because from some people, and how can I justify what I charge in trading? So I charge $5,000 a day or $20,000 a week. So when I have traders somewhere in the world, so I want I want to be fast-tracked, I've got a sizable account, I want to learn how you do it, I want one-on-one, that's what I charge. And someone said to me the other day, well, how can you justify that? Well, quite frankly, traders, I charge no more than what a good lawyer or a good accountant would charge for a day, and I'm giving and teaching people life skills for life. But most importantly, I love trading for the money, and when I'm training, I can't trade anywhere near as efficiently as what I do when I'm training, because I'm busy training you. That is why I charge the fees that I charge. And also, you're fast-tracked. Within a couple of days of being trained, you're away forever. Now for those traders that may have only smaller accounts, of course that's not realistic for you. So that's when you then look at my fast track program. Now for $197, I have to tell you, traders, you get exactly the same strategies and systems that I charge $5,000 a day for, or $20,000 a week. Now once again, I'm not telling you what I charge per day to impress you at all, because hey, I don't care whether you come to me for trade. I prefer to train to trade. I would prefer just to trade full-time, but I do training because I love it. I love the interaction. For an example, those students of mine that I get emails from every day, by the way, I spend probably about 1 to 2 hours a day answering emails from students, and I love that. I love the interaction, but it doesn't interfere with my trading time. So I love what I do, but quite frankly, you get everything in the 197 pack. And what I actually say to my private students that want the one-to-one coaching is, buy that program first, sit on that for 30 days, go through it, learn it. You may not even need the coaching one-to-one. Anyway, so let's now go and have a look at some setups from last night. So Yes, I cherry pick because I get in the positions and I'm comfortable with the trading that I do because I know the very high probability areas. For an example, I love to enter a trade in a new trend because when's the best time to jump into a trade where you're going to maximize your return? Now, for my regular students, I'll usually scalp for 11 to 15 ticks is pretty typical. I'm in and out. That is my trading style. Now, what I'm attempting to do, and actually let me take that back. No, what I am now doing is targeting $400 a day per contract. I've got a personal target of dramatically increasing my daily profitability per contract that I trade. So where I trade 10 lots, I'm after $4,000 a day. Now I've actually registered the name, the .com name, target400.com, because I'm sort of figuring I'm going to do some videos on it and some live videos and create a program out of it because it's stretching my skill set. Now, one of the ways in improving my return, and by the way, I want to earn more than 400 per contract, but that's sort of my minimum, is my minimum return per trade. Now, when you first enter a trade, for an example, the trade I entered up here, this is on the Euro Stock X50 last night. The market had been opened, how long it had been open there? So the market had been open for trade an hour and a half. Yeah, an hour and a half. It opens up at 4 p.m. Australian time, and we had some lovely pivot bounces. We then had a you had a T2 that was good for 4 ticks, by the way. If you look at it, it doesn't look much, and it's about, I think, $11-12 US per point or per tick. So all of these are great trades. I didn't take those, by the way. I marked them up later. So what I jumped in on was, and those traders that know me well know that I love the T89, so I jumped in here on the T89. That was great. I shorted 10 contracts there and I was out for 5 ticks. Now my goal in increasing my profitability is to increase my target rate, and as an example there, the reason I jumped out there, quite frankly, was see the pivot line. I thought I'm going to get a pivot bounce around that level. My next one should have been the 89 or even trailed my stop down. So I'm going to share my journey with my students on how I'm going to dramatically increase my daily target. So we had a nice trade there. Now for the clients, or my students I should say, you can see here we had a nice then that turned into a T10. Now I should have been in on the T10, but it was our evening meal time, so we can see I got out on that nice trade. But then we had so not only did the T89 deliver, we then had a T10, then there was a T2. Now you had a possible T89 down here. It wasn't a brilliant one, and let me just bring this up and let's just have a quick look at that. Just want to, whoops, sorry about that. I just want to, for my regular traders, let me just bring this up. Yes, you can see here it was a potential T89. It was also a pivot bounce. What you got to watch though is when you got these really strong trends. Now remembering, and that, by the way, would have been a small winner, but you'd have to be quick, and of course then it was rejected off the 200 and the 34. Down here we then had and we also had some nice divergence, so it was still a good $40 per contract trade if you wanted to. But we then had a lovely T2, and I'm actually kicking myself because I missed this one. But here is an all-time classic, an absolute fantastic T89. So I wasn't in, I was downstairs having dinner with the family when this one, but look at that as a T89 traders. Now let me go and put the bands back on. Let's have a quick look. Now look at that there. All right, you got fantastic angulation, you got everything going. Now here's the other thing you want to look at. Notice how the short-term stoke turned down and then flick back up again, and see that over here I marked this one up as well. See what goes down, comes up and rolls back over. They're a really good sign the market is turning. Okay, then we had just a note I put on there at the time. We had the of course the FMOC in the morning, we still had some good volume. And if we got in a minute, if I don't want this to run past 20 minutes, I've got 5 minutes to go. We'll have a quick look at the ES trade if we trades if we've got a chance. We had then so it was a beautiful T89 here. Then we had a fantastic T2 again. Now this is also a pivot bounce, and you may remember, traders, when I talk about trading the pivots, what I love to see is price go through the pivot. Notice how, by the way, it was rejected by the 200. Go through the pivot, come down, and then continue. Okay, so I love these trades when that happens, where you punch down, you go through a pivot, come down, and away you go, which is exactly what happened. Then we had some fantastic divergence. Now here I jumped in before the T1. Now I took some heat on this particular one, and traders, as I say, if you want to keep it conservative, wait until your zero lag rolls over and turns, as happened here. Okay, so I got in here, I took 4 ticks of heat on this one. That was a nice 5 ticker. What was the other one? I think that was 5 ticks on 10. We can see here where I shorted, and for those that aren't familiar with TradeStation, it automatically plots your trade entries. So I shorted 10 up here, out there on the 89, come up, and then I had what is this one? So we had T89, and what is this trade? A T10, a perfect T10, and well, it was good for 5 ticks again. I shorted 10, and that was pretty much, and I'll just flick over, we'll have a look at the NQ. So I had fired at the same time a couple of trades off on there. So what we had there, traders, was on my daily target there was about $160 per contract, just on those 3 trades there. Then the market, then we just had some other great trades here. Look, you had basically a nice little double bottom here. Now on this one, once again, notice how the short-term turns up beforehand before the long-term. Then look at this double bottom here, and away it went. Okay, so that is the Euro Stoxx 50, and let's just have a quick look here. And I want to refer to the ES. What do we got here? This is the NQ55 tick, and this trade here, and I want to quickly be very quick, I've got 2 minutes to go. This was a T89 I took here. Now that was good for 36 ticks, $180 per contract. I let it ride. I was really just being really brave there. I let it ride. Now that, by the way, was 3:30 US time, so I've got this one on my US time. Then for my regular students, you had a great T2 here. You would have been in on this one. This was a perfect T89. Let me put the channel back in and show you. Now all of these are covered in the course extensively. Look, this was just, and sorry about all the lines, traders, I know the chart looks busy. You don't have to have everything, and I show you when I train you how to minimize the trades. But traders, those that are students, you can see the channel there. Look at the angulation away. Look how far away I am from the channel. Beautiful T89. So let's just disable that. You had, this basically was a T10, between a T10 and a T2. Fantastic. Then what have I got up here? Good for 13 ticks. I had a fantastic T89 again. So is there a bias in my trading? I suppose there is, traders. It's the T89 and the T10s I love. That was good for 13 ticks. That was 180 a contract. That was 65 a contract. Now when you've got a major announcement like the FOMC, sometimes the markets can go really crazy, so you can be all over the place. But what I wanted to show you, look, I won't show you now because we're out of time, traders, but on the ES we had some fantastic trades this morning. However, if you go back and look at your ES trades there, the E-minis, you'll see that for the 90 minutes before the announcement, of course the market just goes absolutely horizontal sideways. It's just a real danger zone, and it's really a killing field. And one other question I had answered before we finish up is one of my students asked me, what about the first 15 to 30 minutes when the market opens. Well, I call the first 15 minutes, traders, the killing zone. That's right. And being a sniper type mentality, it's called the killer zone, and not for the right reasons. That is, the killer zone is where I do not trade the first 15, sometimes even 30 minutes of a market open. You want to watch that because it can go all over the place. And as most of you know, after about 30 minutes we tend to have quite often there's a market turn, but the first 15 minutes can be a real killing zone for the newer traders. So please be very cautious in trading your first 15 minutes. So traders, if you'd like to know more about my fast track program, $197, you get, it's well over 15-16 hours now of total training, and I'm adding new videos all the time. And particularly now, all of my students will be kept up to date with my progress on what I call target 400. So my goal is a bare minimum of $400 per day. Now I'll tell you what the real secret to it, that's per contract, by the way. The real secret is, quite frankly, is I probably need to increase my time in front of a screen from maybe 2 to 3 hours, and maybe just take it anyway. I'll talk more about that on another video I'm going to be doing. So traders, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you'd like to know more about the fast track program, please drop me an email. I don't have fancy websites, I don't have fancy brochures, but you can see by my videos that I've been trading for years and I know what I'm doing, and let me train you, let me fast track you. And students, keep the emails coming. Thank you.